All right. Thank you, everybody, for being on tonight for kicking off our new 2020, 2021 tongue tie year of distinction for young men of distinction. And I have the great honor and privilege to have. I want to introduce our guests. We have as well. We have Michelle from the organization Women of Serenity. That's it, right?
Certainty.
Certainty. See, I know.
Yeah. Women of sheer certainty.
Okay, that's why I hate saying things wrong. So that's why I was very hesitant saying it. So thank you for being on this evening with one of your young ladies as well. I have Tyler, which is the Galaxy Note 8. Hey, Tyler. I have Shamar that's on, Karan. Um, say your name that's in TC. Okay,
You.
okay. So yes, again, thank you all for being in attendance. And tonight we're focusing on mental health and trauma. And hold on. And as you know, everybody answered the poll question. I appreciate everybody's honesty with the answers. And so, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for this evening. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because, like I said, I don't believe in messing up people's names. And I didn't ask her name before I got on, which I feel bad. So I'm going to allow her to introduce herself to you guys.
No problem. My name is Dr. Alana, and I am a trauma psychiatrist. And I'm here today just to help facilitate the conversation. I want to answer your questions about mental health and emotional wellness, and also just give you an opportunity to talk and think about trauma and what does that actually mean? Like, how does it affect you? It affects everybody. The question is not if you're affected by trauma, but how have you been affected by trauma and what can you do about it? So I do like seeing faces. So if you all don't mind, if it's not too much trouble and it's possible, I would love for you to turn on your videos. But of course, I can't force you to do it. But I do bring it up because in other circumstances, we would be able to meet in person and talk and be able to have tough conversations in person. And so it just can be helpful sometimes if we're able to see each other. But again, sometimes that's not possible. But I would like to hear from everybody that's on this call because we at least have enough space to be able to have a conversation. And this is a conversation. This is not a lecture. So I will actually want you guys to ask questions and to participate in the discussion. So um, please, let's kind of go around and introduce ourselves. Michelle, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
I'm Michelle Celestin, and I have a organization for young girls, 10 to 17, where a mentoring organization. And we do programs for as job skill programs, and I have a mentor leadership program. And I also, I work as a endotech, um, personal life. um, 4 kids, one granddaughter, which is one daughter of mine, Kayla. She's on live with us. My niece supposed to be joining us, so I'm gonna see when she come in. So I wanted to be on a call because I have a sister that had two sons that she deal with mental illness as well. So I also invited her to be on. I also texted her the information to be on tonight. So I'm not sure if she's going to join us or not. But I thought it would be a good thing for her to be on because she's been dealing with mental illness for years. And it's very hard. It's very difficult. I don't know how she does it, but she have challenges with it. She definitely have challenges. Kids have to be vapor active. They are grown young men now. They're like 21, 23, 24 in that range. But still, as they get older, it's like it get worse. One is better than the other. And so well, I don't want to get into the conversation too much, but that's a little bit about me, my background.
All right, thank you. Who's next? I will call names if you don't volunteer. I am that teacher.
I'm Kayla. I'm 16 years old, and I'm part
17.
of 17.
She just had a birthday in May. You don't.
I understand. I still have to add mine up too. Don't worry about it.
And part of Women of First.
What you said, Kayla?
And I'm part of Certainty.
Okay. And do you have any questions or anything that you are curious about or anything that you want answered today or anything on your mind?
No. Okay.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Shamar.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Nice. I'm sorry, I forgot my mic was on for a bit.
That's okay. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Shamar Reese. I am going into 11th grade. I am 16 years old.
Right.
Hobbies include archery,
Nice.
and musical theater, or theater-ish drama.
All right. Sounds good. I wish I knew how to. I've always wanted to get into archery.
It's pretty easy once you actually just get behind the bow.
I've done it a couple times and I had a good shot and I was like, I should practice on this. Okay, let's see. Y'all are moving around a little bit. Okay, Tyler. Hi, Tyler.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So give me just a brief little something about yourself so I can know who you are.
My name is Tyler. 15, going to 11th grade. I have my own design and clothing brand. Hobbies, I would say most of the time I'm designing. Most of the time, if I'm not designing, I'm either working out or playing my game. But yeah, pretty simple.
Thank you very much. Who's next? I see Jamarian, Karen, TC. I'm sorry if I'm messing your names up. Bridget.
Hello.
Hey.
My name is Samuel Watts. I'm 13, going into 9th grade. I like basketball, and I as a hobby I work out, and I just like to be out and enjoy life.
Okay, y'all have good coping skills. Okay, good. I'm glad you have outlets that they're needed in these times. Okay. Let's see. Bridget or is it Brigitte or Bridget? Where, how I say it? You're on mute. You're talking.
Okay, good evening. As a lot of people say Bridget, but it is Brigitte. I just think it sounds funny. My mom said your name. I should tell it's not Bridget, it's Brigitte.
It's Brigitte.
I'm the mother of Jacoby, and I'm just sitting in tonight to listen and to the conversation. But I am a VPK teacher, and I was just interested in the topic tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for joining, and thank you
You're
for raising a son who is about taking care of his community. Love
oh, oh, you're welcome. Very
it.
proud of him.
Wonderful. Okay. Who else? Jamarian, Navia. I'm gonna just say the names. I'm just gonna say it to see. You had to correct me.
Nevaeh.
Nevaeh. Yes. I got it. Listen, I'm serious about names because people have butchered my name all my life. So when somebody tells me their name, I'm like, correct me until I get it right because I want to pronounce your name the way you want your name pronounced. So, okay, tell anybody else or tell me who they are.
Hello, my name is Nevaeh. I'm 14 going into ninth grade, and my hobbies are, well, right now I do track, and I'm a veterinarian right now. I'm in medical,
Okay.
and I'm going into high school doing medical right now, and that's all. Yeah.
Okay. I think I missed a little bit of that, but I heard that you're interested in medicine or veterinarian medicine. So I heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Being a doctor is it's hard work and it's worth it. But it's hard work. So lots and lots of learning. Learn to love learning. All right. And then I think Jamarian is the last person that I haven't heard from, maybe.
Hello, my name is Maria. A hobby for me is reading comic books. Um, I am about to turn 12 next week, going to the 7th grade.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you.
All right. And then Karen or Karen?
It's Quran.
Ron.
Yeah. I'm 16. My name's Ron Pittman. I'm 16, and I'm going to the 11th grade, and I play basketball.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, Mr. Jacoby.
All right. Well, I did the introduction, but I introduced myself to everybody. I'm Jacoby Waters. I am the founder of Young Men of Distinction, and I have the esteemed pleasure of having, as my mother mentioned, my mother is on this call. She's part of Young Men of Distinction as our secretary. And then I have my oldest son, Karan, who's also part of the organization as well. So I'm glad to have everybody on, and we're going to get started. So I was able to look at the poll and everybody's knowledge of mental health. So I want to focus on the myths of mental health as far as, wait, I'm sorry, before I get into the mental health of different myths, how do everybody feel right now as far as, and I just want this solely to be right now my young people answering, but how do you guys feel now here in Florida that is leaning towards school's going to be online?
I don't like it.
Why you don't like it, Shamar? Go ahead. Go deep.
Because I feel like ever since the online school started, I've just done way worse than in person.
Okay.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's been harder to keep track. Sometimes you'll forget to look at your computer and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who else? Who's next?
Forever.
Uh. Oh.
What you said, Kayla?
I don't really like
Oh. Why you don't like it?
it because it's not motivating me at all.
Okay. So you're not motivated. Okay. Um. And, cause I'm gonna start calling out names. So Karan,
Um,
how do you feel about it?
Wait, Phil, about what exactly? I'm sorry, I
Uh.
missed the question.
So they in Palm Beach County, the school board, they're gonna make it official next week, but they're leaning towards doing school virtual. So, how do you feel about school looking like it's gonna be online to start off?
Oh, it doesn't really matter to me. It don't matter to me. Whatever they do, I'll do it. I mean, I gotta do it. So
Um, you don't have any feelings on it? I know you got to do it whatever they say, but this is more I wanted to hear from the students because I feel in this decision, I'm
I'm
more. It's a lot of adults making the decision versus we're not asking our children. So I'm giving y'all the chance now to kind of say what y'all feel about being going to school online.
What are the challenges that you think that you're going to run into? But we mentioned motivation because that can definitely be a challenge. But what are the real challenges that you think you'll have to being able to do well in school?
can I say
maybe
something really
like
quick?
not having a teacher right there in front of you to answer your question, all your questions and stuff like that.
Mhm. I heard somebody else say something too.
Me.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Freya.
Neville is kind of in a rural area, so her reception ain't too good.
Okay. Okay. And if she wants to, I think she might be able to dial in. That may be a better signal if she calls in on the line. So that might be an idea. Um,
Uh, Tyler, how do you feel about going? How do you feel, Tyler?
Um, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little bummed. I can't. It's high school and everything. You gotta enjoy it while it lasts. So it's kind of a bummer. I won't be able to like head straight into school, but at the same time, it's cool because I did better online than in school. So I don't know. I'm kind of with Karan, kind of in the middle.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that it's traumatic to have to make the type of shift that we're all having to make. So, I want to like have any of you ever like what do you define as traumatic? When you hear the term trauma, what do you think that means?
Something like something that messes with you on a daily basis. Something that like scars you mentally.
Okay, something that scars you mentally. What else? What do you think of when you think of trauma? Kayla, Shamar, what do you
Life,
think of when you think of trauma?
life changing.
What you said, Kayla?
Life changing.
Life changing? Yes. So let's take both of those definitions and put them together. And trauma, the definition of trauma is something that is internally painful enough that it changes the way you think about yourself, other people, and the world. Okay? Yourself, other people, and the world. So most of the time when we think of trauma, we think of it as being something like way up here, like you go to the military and have and go to war, or what do you think causes, what phenomenon do you think causes the most trauma? What do you think causes the most trauma nationwide?
I would say sexual assault.
Sexual assault is one option. Let's hear some more.
Well, war.
War, okay. Anybody else got a guess?
Death in the family.
Death,
Racism.
racism. Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence. All of those things are examples of trauma. And the thing that causes the most trauma nationwide, really worldwide, is actually natural disasters. Think about Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Harvey. Think about the hurricanes and how they come through and they traumatize so many people at one time when you have a large natural disaster event. So natural disasters actually cause the most number of traumatic experiences, but every single one of you all named things that are absolutely traumatic that we often don't think of as traumas because they happen so often in our lives and we see these things so much that society has really taught us to ignore some of the very obvious things that are traumatic. And so we actually have right now a crisis where we have lots of people experiencing trauma and experiencing the internal sensations that come with trauma, but having no words and no language for it and no way to recognize it because we have not had a system that actually teaches us to identify traumas when they're happening. So trauma can be domestic violence, it could be a car accident, but it can also be I thought I was going to be able to go to prom, and now my junior year and senior year are blown. I didn't get to have a graduation. I'm not going to get to be in school and around my friends the way that I'm used to, or having to stay in the house and be around your family all the time. And there may even be trauma within your household, the way that your household communicates. It may be physical trauma, physical aggression that may be happening in your household, but it also can be verbal aggression, psychological trauma, because our words are very powerful. And sometimes we throw our words around in ways that, smack each other up. And that invisible psychological trauma, that pain, is part of what we've been taught to ignore and to not recognize. We live in a society that doesn't even think that racism is traumatic. Have any of you guys experienced any racially traumatic experiences lately? Because we have a lot of stuff going on.
I haven't experienced it lately, but in the past, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is just one part of all of these hidden traumas that I want to make sure that you begin to understand that those actually have a direct effect on the way that you think. And so let's talk a little bit about mental illness and what mental illness actually means, right? So when you hear mental illness, or you hear what do you think of when you hear the words mental illness?
Asylum.
Okay, an asylum, lock them up, put put them in the room, put them in a straight jacket. Yeah, okay. What else?
I would say unstable.
Okay. Unstable as in, so what we want to start doing to help us understand mental health is to start getting away from using just stopping at words that people might not fully be interpreting the same way. Okay.
Okay.
So here's one of the tricky things about mental health is the way that we use language. If I say that person's acting crazy, what are they doing? What would be, do you know what they're doing if I say somebody's acting crazy?
It can be an outburst,
Mm-hmm.
causing a scene.
They could be causing a scene, but they could be silently walking down the street clucking like a chicken.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
we use words like crazy, and we use words that are very general, but we also have to start being more descriptive about what's actually happening in people. So if somebody is unstable, what you might be describing is their mood changes very quickly from one thing to another, or sometimes they can be very calm and then suddenly they go off, or they do a behavior that is reckless or that is difficult to explain, right? So unstable can mean a lot of different things, but the way that you start helping yourself unravel what you think about is to try and describe it with more words. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to mental illness, I think we've learned so much misinformation about emotions that we barely understand how to interpret them. Okay. So one thing that a myth about emotions, let's try to think about some of the ones that we hear about. Has anybody ever heard that you're not supposed to cry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's not supposed to cry? Men are not supposed to cry. Women are not supposed to cry. Who's allowed to cry?
Men most
Men,
likely.
Men.
Men not supposed to cry.
Men are not supposed to
Not
cry.
supposed to cry.
Okay. And what does it mean if somebody cries?
It shows weakness.
Say it again.
It shows weakness.
Shows a weakness. Okay. What
And it's like
about,
that's what we grew up on.
right?
That's what we
Yeah.
were taught.
That's what we were taught. That's definitely what we were taught. I don't know about you, but I know as a female, I was still taught that I'm not supposed to cry, like toughen up. Why you making all that noise? My mom used to whoop me and then be talking about why you crying? What you mean?
Yeah.
You hit me. What? I give you something to cry about. You did already. What are you talking about, lady? What are you talking about? So we have lots of myths about emotions, but let me show you where emotions come from. This is my friend. This is your brain. And you see that little red dot in there?
Yeah.
There's a little red dot right in there. And then it's got a little hook going around. You see that? Okay. That, my friend, is your amygdala. Say it with me. Amygdala. Amygdala. Sound like you're sneezing. Amygdala. Now, your amygdala is one of the most powerful parts of your brain. You have, if you put a line through your ears and a line through your eyes, that's, you have two amygdala, and they sit directly in the center of your brain, and they collect information from all of the rest of your senses, and they translate it into what am I supposed to feel in this moment. So your amygdala creates the sensation that you would call your feelings. Anybody ever talking about, well, why you all in your feelings? You know what I'm talking about, the feelings?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I said all of us have that amygdala. So that means that a baby has an amygdala, a man has an amygdala, a white person has an amygdala, a black person has an amygdala, You get where I'm going with this. Everybody has an amygdala. How how often do you think your amygdala is operating?
24/7.
All the time.
24/7. It doesn't go to work at 8 and clock off at 4:30. Okay. Your
No.
amygdala is running even when you're asleep, right? Anybody ever woke up from a dream?
Yes.
Okay. So the part of you that creates your emotions is very powerful to move you in any direction that it wants to. So the way that this works is what you are telling yourself about the situation, your amygdala will create exactly that sensation inside of you. So that means that there's no such thing as other people causing your emotions. Has anybody ever said, "You making me mad"?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he makes me so happy. I love him. Or oh, she gets on my nerves. Listen, that's mine right there. Y'all getting on my nerves, right? Okay. But what's really happening is that what I am interpreting, what my brain, when it is taking in the information from the outside and it's looking at what this other person is doing, my brain is calculating what I believe about this situation. And then my amygdala creates whatever the emotion is that goes along with that. So, for example, if you get a call and you answer your phone and it's your principal calling, hello, Principal Johnson. You might feel like this on the inside, like, "Ooh, why is my principal calling my house? Lord Jesus, what did I do?" Depending on what your mind starts referencing. Or you might be a person who's like, "Oh, I know that I get lots of awards and accolades. I'm expecting something good from this call," and your body would create a completely different sensation. Your amygdala can create the green stuff, and it can create the red stuff, and it does it all the time. It's always functioning. Anybody have any questions about your amygdala?
Can
Now, since
anything?
we're, oh, go ahead.
Oh, like, can anything, like, if it was to be damaged, like, what would happen?
That was my question.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
it's very difficult to damage your amygdala. Okay. So what you see for most people is not a damaged amygdala. It's an amygdala that is thinking and operating in so much extreme that it is causing an extreme of emotions and an extreme of reactions. And so, what happens for most people when you see what we think of as mental illness, it is a it is programming of their brain that is causing them to have extreme intense emotions, and then they act those things out. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
like people who have lots of traumatic experiences, I'll give you an example that maybe you might identify with. Um, if you've ever gotten your feelings hurt in a relationship, you like somebody, you think that person likes you, and then they don't like you back, or something happens, it goes sideways, right? You get your feelings hurt, and you're like, "Oh, I don't like that sensation. I don't like that feeling." And so now my brain is the next time I go to deal with somebody, I'm trusting because I don't want to feel that painful feeling again. I'm more likely to look for where that person might be lying to me, or saying something that they don't mean, or oh, wait a minute, that text message, that phone call that they got, that sets me off more this time because that's what happened the last time. That's reminding me of what's happened in the past, and then we act on that. And if you have a lot of painful experiences in your life, it begins to set you up more and more for like trying to block out emotions or block out painful things and shut down so that you don't get hurt. But the problem with that is that your amygdala is still working. So if you are bottling up your emotions or ignoring your emotions, guess what they do? Bow! They blow up all over everybody and over other things. And that could be in an anger outburst, that could be in an internal anger outburst, which for some people might look like depression. It might look like suicidality, like wanting to kill yourself or wanting to hurt somebody else, wanting to do something drastic that you may not normally even want to do because those emotions are so bottled up in there, causing a lot of pain. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, questions. Okay.
So how would a person know when to get treatment?
Okay. So, I am a believer that everyone can benefit from a trained professional who can help them process their emotions and process their thoughts. And I say that because we have experienced so much trauma. It's traumatic just walking around in a brown body in America right now. And don't let you be a little different than what your household or your environment tells you that you are supposed to be, or function or believe a little different than what your family or what your religious community or what your local community thinks is okay. You're going to be experiencing lots of trauma because you're going to have lots of things that are telling you that you're supposed to be something different. You're supposed to be, we get all of these messages about being too much of this or too much of that. And that can program how you think of yourself. So talking to a therapist, talking to a counselor, talking to someone who's trained to help you back up a little bit. Like, everybody can only experience life through their own little bubble. Just this little bitty, only what my brain can translate and put in my body. So I can't necessarily, you can't know what you don't know. So talking to someone who can teach you, because we all just went through a list of false things that we've been taught about emotions, and false things that we've been taught. Not sometimes, like, nobody said to me that I'm not supposed to cry and that, it's a weakness to cry. But you hear that enough from everybody out there. You hear that enough. Listen, I'm a psychiatrist, and they didn't even say that in my field. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, all of those books that I had to read through medical school, I had to realize, like, none of them said that crying was unhealthy. And all of them just said that it's a program part of our biology. So why have we made it bad? Why have we made it something that we're not supposed to do, when we obviously have mechanisms that cause us to experience emotions? In fact, emotions are actually the language of communication that every human being who's ever lived in any era on this earth, we spoke different languages, we wrote different languages, we lived completely different lives, but everybody felt emotions the same way you do. Their amygdala created pain, it created sadness, happiness, depression, anger, joy, anxiety. Every human being alive has had that psychological language, but we live in a society that's built on ignoring that, which is why we have so many people who are struggling with their thoughts and their emotions. And when that is acted out, that's acted out in the form of depression and anxiety and sleep problems and PTSD and lots of other conditions that are basically our natural response to a traumatic environment. if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Questions. I want to hear from my kids. I want to hear from my youngsters. What are you guys, what are you all hearing? We'll wait. what are you all hearing me say about your emotions?
That they're natural.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Where do they come from? What's the name? What's the part of your brain that creates your emotions?
Amygdala. I think that's what it's called.
Amygdala.
Amygdala.
Amygdala. And do you have control over your emotions? Is that something that you could do yourself, or is that something that other people do?
You.
You.
So now you can't blame it on anybody else now. Whatever you're feeling, you have to actually go in yourself and think about, what am I thinking about this situation that is causing me to feel this way? Have you ever heard anybody say, "Ooh, I just lost it and I just totally went off"?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That is because human beings do not understand our biology. Okay. I'm gonna tell you a secret. We are actually all super beings, like superheroes, like X-Men level stuff. I be cussing, so I'm editing. I'm sorry. Okay, X-Men level stuff. That's human beings. We're not just human. We are animal, human, and spirit. We're a three-part creature. Okay, this is by anatomy. So there's a part of you that is physical, and there's a part of you that's non-physical. The part of you that is non-physical is your spirit. It consists of the things that we know exist, but you can't touch them, like your thoughts, your emotions, your mind, right? Where's your mind? It's not the same thing as your brain, right? But we know that you have it, and we know that those things are functioning. You got a question? Thought I heard a question. Okay. So, because you are an animal, human, and a spirit, you have biology that actually shapes your psychology, the way that you think about things, and that determines what you create. That's how this matrix works. And even trickier, you all can see somebody else much better than you can see yourself. Like right now, I can only see my hands, but I can cheat and see myself in the camera, but I can only see my hands and my feet, right? And so it's very easy to interpret if I'm feeling something that it's the other person is doing it to me. That's very easy to think that that's what's happening. Or better yet, it's the devil or it's God. Well, we blame everybody else. Oh, Lord, it just came on in. That was the devil just made me do it. No, that is not how it works. Okay. Your amygdala can hijack your decision making and have you going off about to do something primitive that gets you to create what you don't want. Prime example, you just got your new shoes, you just got you in your best outfit, and somebody come through and step on your shoe. Bruh, what are you doing? You have just said, I worked and paid for this myself. You have scuffed up my crisp white shoes. what do you want to do? What's the first thing that you feel rising up in you if somebody steps on your prize outfit?
Anger.
Anger. Okay. Any other words? Anything else?
Come on, my Jordan lovers. How would y'all feel if somebody step on y'all Jordans?
Come on.
Angry.
Frustrated.
There we go. There we go. All right. There we go.
Frustrated. What would you want to do? What would be the next thing that you would want to do?
I'll probably, like you said, lose it. Lose it, right?
Okay. What does lose it look like?
Getting loud, pushing somebody. You know, I'm gonna try to start something, so I have an excuse.
Okay.
So I have an excuse.
All right. It's a good time to get some of that frustration out on somebody. And today's your day. Thank you for stepping on my shoe. It's going down, right? So that's an example of where our emotions get triggered and then our amygdala takes over. Now, you know, if we look at those pathways, if I start fighting, if I get loud, if I can make a scene, what are the likely outcomes of that? Anybody?
Fight.
Okay, a fight. I might win. More than likely, I might win. But whoa, wait a minute, I might lose. then I'm extra salty because you just stepped on my shoe and beat my butt in front of my friends. Extra salty, right? But even if I don't lose, what are some? Keep going with the consequences. What else could happen? I get into a fight. I beat him up. What's the next consequence?
You get in trouble.
What kind of trouble?
You get suspended.
Okay, suspended. And anything else?
You get arrested.
Possibly could get arrested.
Deal with your parents when you get home.
But woo, got to deal with your parents, man. There was times where I was like, send me to the police because I can't go up in that lady's house today. Maybe wait till tomorrow till she's scared or something because I don't want to go home right now. So, but that is, now you came to school that day to have a good day, to see your friends, maybe get some education, you're trying to get somewhere in life. You have things you want to be. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a veterinarian. But you're about to let your amygdala fight somebody on behalf of your scuffed up shoes. Now, is that going to get you where you want to go? Or are you going to blame it on the other person for creating how you respond to that?
Blaming it on ourselves.
Okay. So that's where you have to start really doing the work to recognize, what am I feeling? A lot of times emotions are masked by anger. So think of your emotions like a tree, and the leaves are anger. We can think of a bunch of words for anger: frustration, irritation, sarcasm, snappiness. But when those leaves, say it again.
Rage.
Yeah, rage, wrath, like absolutely. We have lots of words for anger, but always under anger, there are other emotions. That anger is just our power emotion because it feels like I can do something. But embarrassment, you stepped on my shoe, I'm embarrassed. I feel if you step on my shoe and I don't say something, I might be feeling like my friends are going to make fun of me, or I'm going to lose status in school, or this is something that's really important to me. I might lose my money. It might be, now there might be a real underlying emotion that's in there that you have to find in order to recognize what's really happening, because nobody's ever just angry. We're always angry and something else. And that's what you have to start looking for and digging for when you're feeling your emotions, or else they get, those emotions can really get out of control. They can have you fighting. They can have you getting expelled from school. They can completely throw you off of your life path because you're letting your biology shape your decision making. All right, so you, Jacoby, I saw you unmute. Was there something that you wanted to say?
No. I was like I said, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot of things that I didn't know as far as emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So, so like I said, I was just listening.
Okay. So, you know, of course, I'd love to, as you guys go through your program, you're going to have other people that teach you about these concepts and really reinforce it. But I really wanted to today just make you aware that you will experience trauma. Trauma is going to happen in life. It's a part of life. You're not going to be able to, that you're going to have some disappointment somewhere. You're going to have somewhere where you have a plan and it's going to go horribly sideways, and that's going to be traumatic. You're going to have a dream of some relationship that ain't necessarily going to work out the way you want it to. You're going to have some hurdle that pops up in your pathway. You're going to have some struggle with something in your life, because that's built into life. But what you can do to become healthier is for you to remember always that you have far more control over how you think about a thing. So it's not about what you encounter, it's about what you tell yourself about that thing that actually shapes how it's going to affect you. So if you have you're on a sports team, because several of you guys play sports. If you guys have a losing season and what you're telling yourself is, oh, we're never going to be a good team, you will never be a good team, because that's basically how it works. Like, you're a human being, and what we believe about ourselves is very powerful. So but that also comes in if somebody in your life is telling you, you know, you're not smart enough, you lazy, your nose too big, your hair too nappy, you can't do that thing. I have news for you. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. If your body is physically capable of doing something, and then the only thing between you and that thing is you believing in yourself enough and working on it and practicing whatever it is long enough to get the hang of it. That's it. That's how it did. That's how human beings work. But the minute that you tell yourself, I can't do that, or if you've never seen anyone in your life do it, you got to find a mentor, you got to find a role model, you have to find somebody that's doing what you want to do, who can help show you how to do it, because you can't be what you can't see. But that's the only roadblock, because the way humans are designed, I mean, somebody some years back said, I want to fly. I want to literally be able to fly through the air. And people like, fly? What is this dude talking about? You are a human. Don't you know that you cannot fly? And they was like, hold my beer. And they figured out we jump in planes now and nobody thinks anything of it, because when we put our mind to something, we are able to do that and work on it and work on it and work on it, and eventually we can make it happen. So that same principle actually applies to you, but you have to be able to work past the naysayers and all the people who are going to pop up and tell you that you can't do it. Or you might even really, the most damaging person for most of us is what we tell ourselves about ourselves. When you look in the mirror, your mind is going to hone in on every imperfection and everything that you think should be different and should be like those other people's over there. And that's part of what shapes a lot of how we approach the world. So work on you. If there's anything that I can tell you about, how to stay, because I don't want to tell you that you can't do anything, because if I say I want to go to the NBA, y'all need to send me to my own doctor. Be like, okay, Dr. Lana, your body is not built for going to the NBA. You can't dunk. You're not tall enough. It's not gonna happen. But other than that, there really is, other than a physical barrier, it really is about mentally. How do you talk to yourself? What is the inside of yourself telling yourself? Because that is going to determine how you feel about something, and how you feel about it is going to create a lot of powerful urges that can either move you towards the life that you want or move you towards the life that you don't want. I'll stop there. Unless anybody has any questions.
All right, so everybody unmute and give Dr.
Alana.
Alana, give her a round of applause this evening. All right. All right. So thank you again for helping facilitate week 1 of this 8-week journey. That's what I like to call it. This is call this the process, and I'm just this is something I'm introducing to the young men, the young ladies that are on this call to learn more about what's your mental health, mental illness, and trauma. So when you hear these terms get thrown or you hear them on TV, by the end of this journey, you will understand what somebody is saying. And you can easily, if one of your friends like, man, you make me go crazy. You can now tell, no, I don't. You make your own self go crazy.
Yeah.
You
You
do.
are responsible for your own emotions. Thank you very much. You control
Right.
yourself. I control myself. We good.
So, like I said, I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of week 1. I'm greatly honored. I learned a lot. So I'm going to now, so my children drive me crazy. Can no longer say they drive me crazy. Drive my own self crazy.
Hold him accountable.
So, other than that, do anybody have any other questions before we end tonight's workshop?
Yeah, I just want to say that I learned a lot, and to the kids, it's not only that kids experience trauma and a mental illness. We as adults also experience these things as well. So everybody experience things like this. So it's not just kids, it's everybody.
Yeah.
So we don't want to make it seem like it's just kids doing this, but we all do. We all got to deal with it day to day.
Yeah, we have to have compassion for each other. I think this is we're in a new space in our world where we're learning to pay attention to our emotions and learning to validate each other. Like, I don't have to have gone through it to believe that it was painful for you, and that your reality is exactly what it is. So if you say that it hurts, then doggone it, it hurts. So being able to talk about and express your emotions is actually part of that superpower, because being able to communicate in that language that actually connects to people, and having control of yourself when other people don't have control of themselves, that is a more powerful thing than you realize right now. So I have a YouTube page, so you can look up Dr. Alana on YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I break down these brain systems and more in 2 and 3 minute videos and bite-sized packages that can help you understand how your brain works. Because imagine if we learned about the amygdala when you learned about the elbow. And so, just like that's your elbow, it bends your arm. I know that this is my amygdala, and it creates my emotions. And if I am thinking about something in an extreme, it's going to make me feel in an extreme. And the more that I can learn to control that, the more that I learn to control myself. And that's very powerful. That's very powerful.
So for week 2, we're going to dive in, and we're going to have another therapist be on next week, and we're going to dive into my story when I went to therapy twice. So I'm going to tell my story, and the therapist is kind of going to unpack my two experiences that me going to therapy. So you're gonna next week is gonna be you're gonna get personal mixed with professional next week. So um, if there's no other questions, again, thank you everybody for being a part of this amazing workshop. Like I said, I learned a lot. Like I said, I try to be a student just like y'all and learn how I can apply it to my life. So again, thank you everybody for joining, and that's media workshops adjourned.
All right. Have a good
Thank you
one.
for having us.
Thank
It's
you
been
for having
awesome.
me. Nice meeting you, doctor.
Yes, thank
Wrestle
you.
your
Thank you, Dr.
amygdala.
Lana.